Minglaba and welcome to Myanmar Today. I'm Henry Zin. We've got the latest news and reports. The third provision gets approval to amend in ballot voting for the constitutional amendment. If you didn't already know, cinemas in Myanmar are to close until April 30th. With many countries around the world under attack from the coronavirus, China helps them in the pandemic fight. Whether it's for yourself or for the people around you, public cooperation is essential for virus prevention. All of that on this edition of Myanmar Today, but now let's take a look at what's happening in local news. President Wu Min sent a message of greetings on the occasion of the 46th anniversary of Moon State Day celebrations. The president said in his message, in the Republic of the Union of Myanmar, which has been formed with more than 100 ethnic national races, there has been a very good historical tradition of many union-born ethnic nationals living as brothers and sisters in close friendship. It is therefore very important for all the ethnic national races to live in unity as a close-knitted family for the union to develop and endure for a long time. At present, the Union of Myanmar is on the path of democratic transition. For our newly established democracy to mature and endure for a long time, peace and development are very important. This is why our union government has been making strenuous efforts for national reconciliation, union peace and development as priority tasks. For the attainment of enduring peace, which has been the aspiration of all ethnic national races for so many years, the Union government has convened the Union Peace Conference 21st Century Panglong to solve political problems which are the root causes of armed conflicts through discussions and dialogues, and to establish a democratic federal union acceptable to all ethnic national brothers and sisters. The National Level Committee for Implementing Recommendations of the Universal Periodic Review (UPR) held its third coordination meeting at the Ministry of Home Affairs in Naypyidaw on Wednesday. Vice President U Min-sui, who's the chairman of the committee, presided over the meeting and called for finalizing the committee's draft report in the first 2 weeks of May so that it can be submitted to the meeting of UPR's working group, which is scheduled to be held in Geneva, Switzerland from 2nd to the 13th of November this year. He added Myanmar received 166 recommendations for UPR, and the line ministries were implementing 12 sectors involved in these recommendations. The Vice President also called for the coordination of the relevant bodies to finalize the Myanmar language draft in the second week of April and its English version in the first week of May. He emphasized the need to clear groundless accusations of the international community against Myanmar in human rights issues. The Ministry of Health and Sports will use $10.7 million international funds for prevention and control measures against the COVID-19. Union Minister Dr. Myen Twe unveiled the offers of Global Alliance for Vaccines and Immunization, Gavi, for $10 million, which is 10% of health system strengthening grant to Myanmar and $0.7 million from the US aid. He added that his office is increasing momentum of preventive measures against the pandemic, with holding regular meetings on video conferencing with local health authorities across the country. The MOHS has also formed a team for the effective use of medicines and medical equipment donated by local well-wishers. The Union Minister emphasized avoiding public gatherings, washing hands from 15 to 20 seconds each time, touching face with unwashed hands, and dissemination of correct information. He added elder persons and patients with chronic diseases to refrain from themselves from going outside, although the arrivals from foreign countries and territories with the confirmed cases have significantly declined. That's all with the local news. Let's take a look at the first report now on Myanmar Today. On the 24th day of 2nd Pinazu Luto's 15th regular session, 629 Luto representatives cast the votes on 18 provisions. One provision which applied to Section 436B received the approval to amend, and it is the third provision getting approval to amend in the ballot voting for the constitutional amendment. Thoda Swazin will tell us more.
The 25th day of 2nd Pinazu Luto's 15th regular session was held with the continuation of the ballot voting for constitutional amendment. For the provisions which were applied to Section 436A, there were only 2 approvals out of 55 proposed provisions. For the amendment of provisions applying to Section 436B, the result of the first 2 days was that none of the provisions were approved. However, on the third day of ballot voting for the provisions applying to Section 436B, one proposed provision received the required number of votes in favor out of 19 voted provisions, and it became the third provision to get approval from over 75% votes of local representatives.
ထောက်ခံဆန္ဒမဲရရှိမှုအရေးအတွက်85ရာခိုင်နှုန်းကျော်ရမရနဲ့လွှတ်တော်ရဲ့ဆုံးဖြတ်အတည်ပြုချက်တို့ကိုကြေညာမှာဖြစ်ပါတယ်
The provision which received approval is Section 262B1 under the title of the appointment of the ministers of the region or ministers of the state, which states that the chief minister of the region or state shall select suitable persons who have prescribed the qualifications under subsection 8 of Section 261 from among the region or state local representatives or from among persons who are not local representatives concerned. The proposed amendment is to remove the statement from among the region or state local representatives or from among persons who are not local representatives concerned. Concerning Section 262, although 8 provisions were proposed to amend, only this provision was successful to seek approval with 591 votes in favor out of 629 local representatives who casted votes.
ပုံမှန်160နဲ့ပုံမှန်ခွဲကကြီးပုံမှန်ခွဲငယ်1ပြင်ဆင်မှုအတွက်ထောက်ခံဆန္ဒမဲ990မဲဖြစ်ပါတယ်85ရာခိုင်နှုန်းကျော်ထောက်ခံတဲ့အတွက်ပြင်ဆင်ရေးဆက်လက်ဆောင်ရွက်သွားမှာဖြစ်ကြောင်းအတည်ပြုကြေညာပါတယ်
However, the rest 18 provisions failed to amend or dismiss. Those were the provisions concerning Section 261, which is the appointment of the chief minister of the region or state, Section 262, which is the appointment of the ministers of the region or the state, Section 264, which is resignation, termination of office, filling the vacancy of the chief minister or minister of the region or state, Section 285, which is the formation of the Neighborhood Council, and finally Section 286, which is the resignation, termination of office, filling the vacancy of the chairperson and members of the Neighborhood Council.
ပုံမှန်164ပုံမှန်ခွဲကငယ်ပြင်ဆင်မှုအတွက်ထောက်ခံဆန္ဒမဲ126မဲဖြစ်ပါတယ်ထောက်ခံဆန္ဒမဲ85ရာခိုင်နှုန်းမကျော်တဲ့အတွက်မူလအတိုင်းဖြစ်ကြောင်းကြေညာပါတယ်
The phase 4, including 14 provisions, is to be voted in the next session, which is the 26th day of the second Piransu Ludos 15 regular session.
ဆန္ဒမဲလက်မှတ်4နဲ့ဆက်လင်းပြီးလွတ်တော်ရဲ့အဆုံးဖြတ်ရယူခြင်းကိုမနေ့ဖြန်19ရက်3လ2020ရက်ကြာတာပတိနေ့မှာဆက်လက်ဆောင်ရွက်မည်ဖြစ်ကြောင်းကြေညာပါတယ်
That's all for now. This is Thora Susin from MI Radio.
That's a report on a third provision getting approval to amend in ballot voting for the constitutional amendment. All right, we'll carry on with the next report here on Myanmar Today. In the wake of COVID-19 alert, all the cinemas across the country have been temporarily shuttered from 16th of March to the end of April. Before the closure of theatres, Myanmar Motion Picture Organization also announced the Myanmar Academy Awards presentation ceremony have been postponed since it was prepared to celebrate on 29th of March. Pyo Thiritu has more.
In the wake of COVID-19 alert, all the cinemas across the country have been temporarily shuttered from 16th March to 30th April. The shutdown comes after the government announcement on Friday banned large gatherings, including annual things and celebrations, until at least 30th April. There are still no recorded COVID-19 cases in Myanmar, but to prevent the spread of the pandemic COVID-19. Dr. Wimou, medical superintendent of South Oglapa Women and Children Hospital, mentioned it is the right efforts to prevent the spread of coronavirus and the danger of large public gatherings in the wake of COVID-19. Dr. Wimou, Medical Superintendent, South Okalapa Women and Children Hospital, said.
The COVID-19
As a viral disease, COVID-19 is very quick and immediate in infection. The more we reduce large public gatherings, the less chance of transmitting between humans it will become. We have to take lessons from Italy and South Korea cases for mass and immediate infection. Theaters are cold and enclosed gathering places are at risk of public health. The Ministry of Health and Sports has already announced the public to avoid the crowded places. The closure of theaters is a precaution in the wake of COVID-19.
There are over 100 cinemas across the country, including private cinema chains, Mingla Cinema Group, JCGV, Mega Ace, Paradiso, and Red Radiance, and many others. All of them have all temporarily suspended ticket sales throughout the country. The action is to follow the official announcement of the Ministry of Information, which has banned public gathering, according to Myanmar Motion Picture Organization, MNPO. U.A. Dule, Vice Chairman of MNPO, said.
We discussed at the meeting and there were no dispute between the theater's production and organization. We discussed and agreed to close down cinema temporarily altogether. They will be closed until 30 April. The cinema hall will resume operation on 1st May. The showing of films will be in serial order. Myanmar Motion Picture Development Department under the Ministry of Information is going to announce if there is any extension. Closure of cinema has effect on the film industry and workers. Annually in April, we provide rice bag, oil bottles, and noodle pack to the film workers. This year, we will increase this provision by double. If possible, we will provide more than one time. We also heard that the production are also providing provision to the film crews.
Some Hantami, who is a famous film editor, said,
Nearly 10 films have been postponed to show at the theaters, so closure of theaters affects the production and the theater owners more. We heard that theater chains like Mingala are going to take care of its staff in case of salaries. But the daily workers at the theaters will be difficult in the daily wages. It's hard for MMPO to take responsibility for them. Though the theaters have been closed, the shooting works are still running on, so there is not too much loss for the cast and crews.
Ko Sai Wimeu, who is a film lover, told MI Radio about his opinion on the closure of theaters. Ko Sai Wimeu said,
It's good to consider the closure of theaters for the sake of the public health in the wake of the coronavirus. Even a film lover, I feel a bit sad because we lose a way of entertaining, but we can still watch some online streaming like Netflix and can play mobile games and many other ways of entertainment. And these ways are safer for us in the wake of COVID-19.
Before the closure of theaters, MMPO also announced that Myanmar Academy Awards presentation ceremony have been postponed as it was proposed to celebrate on 29th March. They will try not to skip the ceremony and not to make up for 2 years as much as they can. I am Jyoti Ritu. This is news reporting from MI Radio.
That's a report on cinemas in Myanmar are to close until April 30th. Let's have a look at the currency rates now from Myanmar Central Bank and the Stock Exchange. $1 is at 1,431 kyats. 1 Chinese renminbi is at 203 kyats. €1 is at 1,527 kyats. £1 is at 1,722 kyats. 1 Singapore dollar is at 997 kyats. 1 Malaysian ringgit is at 327 kyats. 1 Thai baht is at 44 kyats and the Indian rupee is at 19 kyats. Gold is trading at $1,473. Silver is at $12 and Brent crude oil is at $21. On the Yangon Stock Exchange, FMI dropped 500 and it's at 10,500. MTSH dropped 200 and it's at 3,650. MCB is at 8,200. FPB dropped 500 and it's at 21,500. TMH is at 2,800. Stay with us as we bring you more reports on Myanmar Today. As COVID-19 begins to stabilize in China, the country tries hard to help high-risk countries such as Italy in the fight against the pandemic. Recently, Chinese President Xi Jinping sent hope to virus-hit Italy in a phone call. Aids was sent to countries struggling amid the intense infection rate. For more on this and the latest update on the virus outbreak in Wuhan, China, and across the world, Akajo has the details.
As the pandemic classified as COVID-19 begins to stabilize in China, the country is in a bid to assist other countries in the fight against the virus outbreak. WHO and world leaders found China's measures against the virus outbreak effective, and countries are encouraged to learn from China. Recently, as an act of kindness, President Xi Jinping sent hope to virus-hit Italy in phone call. Chinese President Xi Jinping had a telephone conversation with the Italian Prime Minister Giuseppe Conte on Monday night at the latter's request. President Xi delivered confidence to the virus-hit nation, vowing to continue offering medical supplies to Italy. A 9-member team of medical experts, along with 31 tons of medical supplies, arrived in Italy late last Thursday, which is ready to assist the country in containing the deadly virus. This is just one of the helps China is striving to provide to the international community. Mazaji Newin from China Media Group of CRI Myanmar Department explained more on the help and aid China is delivering to other countries.
တရုတ်နိုင်ငံကလက်ရှိအချိန်မှာပေါ့နော်ဒီကမ္ဘာလုံးကကိုဗစ်တိုက်ဖျက်ရေးကိုအစွမ်းကုန်ကူညီနေတာတွေ့ရပါတယ်တရုတ်နိုင်ငံကနိုင်ငံအသီးသီးနဲ့လက်တွဲလှုပ်ဆောင်တဲ့နေရာမှာလည်းဒီကမ္ဘာ့ကျန်းမာရေးအဖွဲ့ကိုvirus ရဲ့မျိုးဗီဇဖြစ်စဉ်ကိုအသိပေးမျှဝေတယ်နောက်ယောဂအခြေအနေကိုလည်းအသိပေးကြောင်းကြားတယ်နောက်ပြီးတော့သတင်းချက်လက်တွေကိုလည်းအချိန်မီမျှဝေတာကိုလှုပ်ဆောင်နေတာကိုတွေ့ရပါတယ်အဲ့လိုနိုင်ငံတကာနဲ့လက်တွဲပြီးတော့ကူညီတဲ့နေရာမှာယောဂထိန်းချုပ်ရေးနည်းလမ်းတွေကိုဘာသာမျိုးစုံနဲ့ပေါ့နော်ပြန်ဆိုပြီးတော့ကမ္ဘာနိုင်ငံတွေကိုမျှဝေတယ်နောက်နိုင်ငံအသီးသီးနဲ့လည်းဗီဒီယိုအစည်းအဝေးတွေပြုလုပ်ပြီးတော့အတွေ့အကြုံတွေဖလှယ်တယ်အဲ့အစည်းအဝေးတွေကတော့ဒီတရုတ်ပစိဖိတ်ကျွန်းနိုင်ငံကပေါ့နော်ကျန်းမာရေးပညာရှင်တွေနဲ့ဗီဒီယိုတွေအစည်းအဝေးတွေလုပ်တယ်နောက်တရုတ်တောင်ကိုရီးယားပထမအကြိမ်ပေါ့ဗီဒီယိုအစည်းအဝေးတွေပြုလုပ်တယ်မကြာခင်ရက်တည်းဆိုလို့ရှိရင်ဒီတရုတ်ပညာရှင်တွေကအာဆီယံ10နိုင်ငံနောက်အလဲအာရှ6နိုင်ငံအလဲနဲ့အရှေ့ဥရောပနိုင်ငံတွေနောက်နိုင်ငံနဲ့အဖွဲ့အစည်းတွေကပေါ့နော်ပညာရှင်တွေနဲ့တယ်လီဖုန်းတွေနဲ့ဆက်သွယ်ပြီးတော့ဗီဒီယိုအစည်းအဝေးတွေကျင်းပတယ်အဲ့ဒီအစည်းအဝေးမှာဆိုလို့ရှိရင်ဒီလက်တွေ့စေကူတာမှုစီမံခန့်ခွဲရေးတွေအများပြည်သူကျန်းမာရေးဆိုင်ရာပြဿနာတွေကိုဆွေးနွေးတယ်ဒီလိုမျိုးတွေပူးပေါင်းဆောင်ရွက်တာတွေရှိတယ်လို့နောက်လိုအပ်တဲ့ပေါ့နော်နိုင်ငံနဲ့ဒေသတွေကိုစေကူတာရေးပညာရှင်တွေဖွဲ့ကိုဆေလွတ်တယ်
A team of Chinese medical experts, along with 31 tons of medical supplies, arrived in Italy late last week as the country struggles to contain the novel coronavirus, COVID-19, that has infected over 12,000 and killed over 1,000 people. It is noted that number of confirmed cases has been on the decrease, and reportedly, the medical workers are beginning to leave Wuhan as more and more people recover. China decided to conduct a phased withdrawal of medical workers sent to aid the treatment work in Hubei, and this is another sign that COVID-19 outbreak has been brought under control in the country and its once hardest hit region. More medical teams are scheduled to leave Wuhan in the following days, but some still have to stay here because there is still about 8,000 COVID-19 patients in Wuhan, including over 2,700 in severe and critical conditions. These patients are still under treatment in 10 designated hospitals in Wuhan. Mazachi continued to explain the cooperation between the country's leaders against the pandemic.
စီးပက်ဆိုင်ရာပစ္စည်းတွေအခြားစီးပူပစ္စည်းတွေကိုလည်းသူကလှူဒန်းတယ်ပီကင်းပေါ့နော်ဒီဘေဂျင်းဆိုလို့ရှိရင်တီဟီရန်နောက်တိုကျိုဆိုယိုကိုဟာမာပေါ့နော်မြို့၄မြို့ပေါ့ယောဂဂျူတင်ကာကွယ်တဲ့ပစ္စည်းတွေကိုလှူဒန်းပေးမယ်လို့လည်းကျမတို့ကြားသိရတယ်နောက်ပြီးတော့ဒီတရုတ်နိုင်ငံတော်ဥက္ကဋ္ဌရှီကျင်းပင်ကလည်းကုလသမဂ္ဂအတွင်းရေးမှူးချုပ်နဲ့အပါအဝင်ပေါ့နော်10နိုင်ငံကခေါင်းဆောင်တွေနဲ့တယ်လီဖုန်းနဲ့ဆက်သွယ်ပြီးတော့ဒီကမ္ဘာတဝန်း COVID-19 ရောဂါခုခံကာကွယ်ရေးနဲ့ပတ်သက်ပြီးတော့ပေါ့နော်အကြံပြုချက်တွေခံယူချက်တွေကိုတင်ပြတယ်နောက်ပြီးတော့ကျေပြန့်တဲ့သဘောတူညီမှုတွေကိုလည်းရရှိတယ်လို့ကျွန်တော်တို့ကြားသိရပါတယ်ကမ္ဘာနိုင်ငံများစွာလည်းဒီတရုတ်ရဲ့နည်းလမ်းတွေဖြစ်တဲ့ပေါ့နော်တည်စားထားတာနောက်ယာယီစေယုံတွေစောက်တာပါဝင်ပေါ့နော်တရုတ်ပြည်ရဲ့ဒီကုသယောဂထိန်းသိမ်းရေးနည်းလမ်းတွေကိုအတူယူကျင့်သုံးနေတာကိုလည်းကျွန်တော်တို့ကြားသိရပါတယ်ရှင်
Experts have attributed the outbreak to a novel coronavirus that has since spread across China and abroad, with confirmed cases exceeding 180,000 globally. In China, over 81,000 confirmed cases, with 3,000 deaths, with over 69,000 recovery cases were reported. Outside China, over 114,880 confirmed cases and over 4,660 deaths were reported. And the total number of cases and deaths outside China surpassed those inside. The U.S. has reported confirmed COVID-19 cases in all its 50 states. The nationwide death toll hits 100. This is Agajo reporting for Myanmar International Radio.
Well, let's move on to the last report before we go to international news. Since the COVID-19 infection rates are still growing in some countries around the world, the preventive measures are essential to control the outbreak of the virus in Myanmar. Our MI Radio team contacted some officials to catch on the latest news and updates about the newly built quarantine hospital in Yangon as well as the virus control. Dora will tell us more.
Hello everyone, this is your reporter Dora reporting you from MI Radio. Though Myanmar still does not have any confirmed case of coronavirus infection, the government and its people have a lot of concern over virus outbreak and are taking a number of preventive measures since many neighboring countries and other countries around the world are growing in infection cases. A newly built quarantine hospital at South Okalapa in Yangon region is part of Myanmar government efforts to control the virus outbreak, and our MI Radio team contact to the medical superintendent of the hospital to know about the process of the quarantine hospital. Firstly, Dr. Wimo, the medical superintendent of the hospital, talked about how they started transforming into the quarantine hospital.
The new hospital was initially built as Women and Children Hospital, and while we were preparing for the facilities inside the hospital, the Ministry of Health and Sports regulated to turn this into the quarantine hospital since there are a shortage of space in Wibagi Hospital. Most of the currently quarantined people are Myanmar citizens who came back from the South Korea.
According to him, the hospital can fit into 46 patients, and currently there are 20 patients who are under 14 days quarantine at the hospital. And he also mentioned that currently at the hospital are Myanmar people coming back from the countries with infection cases. The news of quarantine cases around Myanmar raised the public concern about the virus, and some citizens having panic attack with thinking of some quarantine patients can already be infected. So, Dr. Tasumo, Deputy Director of Yangon Regional Public Health Department, Infection Prevention Department, explained to MI Radio about how they currently process the quarantine inside the country.
Quarantine လို့ပြောလိုက်တဲ့နေရာမှာဒီ quarantine ဆိုတာလူနာမဟုတ်ပါဘူး
Quarantine people do not mean they are patients. They are as healthy as other citizens. It is just those people are under the case definition category A, which define as the people might be the citizen who came back from the infected countries or might have close contact with the infected person in other countries. We quarantined those people in hospital in case they might bring the virus with them and spread to their families and at workplaces.
According to the publication by the ministry, for Myanmar citizens who came back from overseas recently, they must do 14-day self-quarantine separately without having close contact with their family, friends, and workplaces. She also mentioned that the ministry also asks enterprises, hotels, and factories for the cooperation to report the quarantine cases, and it is important to have public cooperation for self-quarantines. Also, in Wuhan city of China, which is the center of the outbreak, the situation becomes more stable with closing of some temporary hospitals and reoperation of some medical factories. MI Radio have contacted Ms. Huang Yue from China Radio International, who is currently in Wuhan, to find out more about the current situation and her opinion on the most effective preventive measures in China for controlling the virus outbreak.
All the 14 public venue-converted temporary hospitals have been closed as of March the 10th. The majority of the patients have recovered and were discharged, while the rest were transferred to designated hospitals. China has passed the peak of the novel coronavirus. 8 new infections were reported on Friday on the Chinese mainland, including 5 in Wuhan. The number of new confirmed cases in Wuhan has dropped to a single digit, but early in February, WHO sent a team of experts to China, and the team leader, Mr. Bruce Allward, said China has taken a differentiated approach towards the different situations of sporadic cases, clusters of cases, or community transmission, which makes for a massive scale of epidemic control work without exhausting its response. Now the situation in China has become stable. The Chinese side has said it would follow the development of the outbreak in other countries and stood ready to share the experience with other countries to jointly tackle the challenge.
According to the publication by Myanmar Ministry of Health and Sports on 16 March, there are currently 131 people under investigation and 2 suspected patients, which makes a total of 133 people in Myanmar. Now the COVID-19 can be tested in National Health Laboratory, and the testing result can reveal in 8 hours or at most within 24 hours. Okay, so that's all about the report now. This is your reporter daughter reporting you from MI Radio, and see you again.
And I'm sure we all know public cooperation is essential for virus prevention. Well, that's all we have for today's reports. Let's move on to international news here on Myanmar Today. There were many reasons to look forward to the spring of 2020, but it's likely to be remembered for just one thing. The world has been swamped by fears over COVID-19. Currently, there are more than 20,000 confirmed COVID-19 cases globally, according to the Center for Systems Science and Engineering at Johns Hopkins University. But is the world prepared?
The coronavirus continues to spread at speed.
All of Italy is now on lockdown over the coronavirus. The spread of coronavirus in the U.S. appears inevitable.
We have therefore made the assessment that COVID-19 can be characterized as a pandemic.
Is the world prepared?
Can we ask you if you can write down which kind of mask and protection do you wear in intensive care units and in the ward?
Italy is currently the country hit hardest by COVID-19 in Europe. Doctors are eager to learn from China's experience.
我们是在一线的抗疫人员，我们有很多教训和经验，我觉得我有责任和义务和国际同行进行分享。
Wuhan, capital of China's Hubei province, is the epicenter of what is now a global epidemic. On January 23 at 10 a.m., one day before Chinese New Year's Eve, the city was locked down. It was a hard decision, but to prevent further spread of the virus, fast action was imperative. Doctors and nurses have been working non-stop to save more lives. Wuhan residents are doing their part to keep the city running. Their sacrifices are not in vain.
And as we spoke to the people we were working with in Wuhan, they said, this is our duty. We have to protect the world from this disease. And I just thought it's so important that we recognize that. And to the people of Wuhan, it is recognized that the world's in your debt.
This is a shared threat. We can only face it together, and we can only overcome it together.
Global public health problem needs an international solution. No one can stand alone. COVID-19 is a new and much more challenging test. But unlike 17 years ago, the level of commitment has been unprecedented. China has been quick to share available information on the virus to the international community. The WHO was rapidly notified of the outbreak and took appropriate measures. The Chinese government's daily updates followed shortly after. This time, more people understand the fight requires a global, coordinated approach. Different countries have different political systems, it's true, but this doesn't alter the simple logic. The entire world is in the same boat, in the fight against the virus.
The coronavirus pandemic is likely to take about 2 years to run its course, the head of Germany's public health agency said on Tuesday, adding that much depended on the speed at which a vaccine against the virus was developed. Lothar Wieler, president of the Robert Koch Institute, said that eventually 60% to 70% of the global population would have been infected, recovered and acquired immunity. But it was impossible to say how fast that would happen. The institute said the number of confirmed cases in Germany had risen by more than 1,100 to 7,156, with 13 deaths. Germany's Chancellor, Angela Merkel, whose government on Monday announced strict social distancing measures to slow the spread of the virus, urged Germans to avoid panicking about food and money shortages. And that's all we have for today. Thanks for joining me on Myanmar Today. I'm Henry Zin. Have a great day, everyone, and remember to wash your hands. I'll see you again. Bye-bye.